Hey guys, BobbySapphire. Listen, I recorded this video 24 hours ago, and some of the prices have actually gone up by a few dollars. So things like K2 and Red 3 are now a couple bucks more. It's really only going to change the cost of the deck, like $5 to $10, but I want you to be aware. Enjoy the video.
All right, what's up? It's your boy BobbySapphire, and today we're going to be talking about competing on a budget with our boy Unkar Plut. So some things to keep in mind if we're competing on a budget. Core understanding, watching this video before you comment. We're trying to win games with these decks. We're building these decks with mostly commons and uncommons, adding cheap rares, which is like $5 or less. And then these are just suggestions. You can do whatever you want. So things like, should I add this? Yes, you should. Should I not use this? No, you shouldn't. Do whatever you want. If you opened a couple of Lukes, you should build a blue deck and put some Lukes in it. It'll be great. These are a baseline for you to modify and build and grow as your collection grows. Why no villain decks today? Because these guys are the two most expensive normal cards in the game. Darth Vader's going for like 55, 60 right now. Boba Fett for around 25, 30. If you're competing on a budget, you're not going to be playing these, and these are the two, I mean, maybe even the two best units. Darth Vader was my pick as best unit when I drafted with the garbage rollers. I'll throw my villains a bone at the end of the video. I've got a nice budget friendly villain deck at the end for you, and you can skip ahead if you hate heroes. The core of this is going to be rebels, and the reason for that is that all of these cards are common, uncommon. They are almost all rebels, and they all work together beautifully. The only non-rebel in this image is Disabled Fang Fighter, which, like, you know, that's the budget version of Red 3. Actually, this is 50 cards, and if you just cut the Disabling Fang Fighters and played 3 Heroic Sacrifices, which is also a rare, like, you could play that deck as mono red budget and be completely fine. But I think for the purposes of this video, we're going to try and add some colors to it, but you can take this deck in any color you want. You can use Tarkin Town and the yellow, blue, and green leaders that I have on the board there. Or you can go Sabine, still go mono red, pick one of the other color bases. It doesn't matter. This core of mostly rebels, like literally all rebels except for the Fang Fighter, like I said, you can stick in any deck and take the best heroic or rebel cards and put them in here and be happy. Things like Fleet Lieutenant, Metal Ceremony, Wing Leader, Dodonna, boosting our rebels, and these leaders are also all rebels, makes the deck hit really hard. And the only rares you really need are K2 and For a Cause I Believe in. You could easily go without the red 3s and still compete pretty well at a local level. And then if you're adding another color, which, like, that's my recommendation, you're going to have stuff to fill in the 3 slot that doesn't even involve Disabling Fang Fighter. But, like, this is a baseline of what we're going to build around. This was also, if we're talking about the Garbage Rolls article where we drafted the best of each type of card, this was my pick for event. This is a true build-around card. It's busted. It's so good. It's a table flipper. It's going to make your opponents flip the table when you burn them out of nowhere when you play 2 of these on the 6 resource turn. So a lot of the direction that I'm pushing for in this budget video is to build around this card because I think it's really strong. It's a $2 rare, and that whole Rebel package is also mostly heroic color-wise with the white aspect, which is what For a Cause I Believe in checks when it flips cards. So we're going to build, like, kind of keeping that in mind. But I'm going to take you through some of the core commons and uncommons and cheap rares of each color. I'm going to start with green. Battlefield Marine is the only 3/3 2-drop in the game, straight up. That costs 2, rather. So did I say 2-drop? Whatever. Really great above stats. Echo-based Defender, one of only a couple 3-drops who have 4 attack. Consortium Star Viper is a common ship, has Restore 2. Like, that's really great. Steadfast Battalion has Overwhelm, works really good with Echo Energy Conversion Lab to give itself +2/+2, ambush it in when you have your leader out, hitting people for 7. Rebel Assault, really good. Mercenary Company, good in a pinch, ambush and overwhelm. Rogue Squadron Skirmisher, great at an uncommon, taking a unit back, having ambush for attack. Some nice rares that we can add to that Rebel core: Admiral Akbar, which is going to let us damage things out of hand. U-Wing reinforcement lets us play some stuff for free. Well, yeah, lets us play stuff for free at cost 7 and pull it off the top of the deck. We can do some really broken things like pull Sentinel in space and ground. We could going back 2 slides, do something like pull Fleet Lieutenant and Wing Leader to boost a unit already on the board and swing for massive damage. So if we're going to add green, these cheap green cards, we might look at something like the KTOD Green Sabine list that's been floating around the internet for the last few weeks. This doesn't have all those green cards, but of course you can make substitutions as you wish. This is a fully premier capable competitive list ready to go. That main deck include, like, if you had to buy all the commons and uncommons from scratch, will probably run you about $45. Maybe closer to 50 if you want to run the energy conversion lab, which I would highly recommend. The sideboard's a bunch of rares, but you don't need to do that. You could just run those open fires in the board, run Mercenary Company in the board, run whatever you want. But this is a super competitive deck that is really, really cheap if we have the green cards. All right, looking at blue, the core blue cards are much fewer and further between. You know, we're digging really deep to have the Vigi Honor Guards on this slide. But they're a rebel. Kanan's a rebel. Restored Ark is a rebel. Great 2/3 ship with Restore 1. Yoda can sometimes still be worth, even if we're going the rebel build. You could also take Yoda and Kanan and do this in a Cherot or Luke deck, play Obi-Wan's, and do it in red with Force Throw, which could be really good, which is another uncommon or common. I can't remember which. But these cards are all really strong inclusions as budget cards. Obi-Wan comes in the starter, so you should have at least one of those. Jedi Lightsaber is a $2 rare tops. I think Obi-Wan is probably cheap because he's in the starter deck as well. And we can look at something like a blue Cherot deck. We don't even need the Obi-Wans in the main. We could keep it aggro with the Rebel stuff. We can even keep running for a cause I believe in. I've got Heroic Sacrifices in here as rares. Jedi Lightsaber in here as rare. And K2 and 4 cause. You've got the red 3s, but those could be the Fang Fighters again. This deck, I think, is also in the $50 range. Probably not much. You don't have to run it with Tarkin Town, although Tarkin Town is obviously really good. But you could run it as a 30-point base. But this is doing the same thing. It's attacking with Rebels. It's buffing the Rebels with Medal Ceremony, Fleet Lieutenant, Wing Leader, as well as Lightsaber, which is really good on Cherot, but you can also get really aggro and play it on something early, like an early Sabine or Rebel Pathfinder if it's a deck that you don't think can deal with it, like an aggro mirror. And then backing up anybody with the forces with me is a really good 4-cost play. And then you could even take that blue and put it with green and have like a pretty good blue-green Cherot deck because Energy Conversion Lab is so good. Because Cherot stays on table against most things that look to kill him, Steadfast Battalion becomes really, really good in this build. We've got some Electro Staffs, which are rares, but I think they're like 50-cent rares. We've got, because we don't have that red package, so we don't need the K2, Red 3, 4 Cause I Believe in, Heroic Sacrifice package. Like, we can spring for an extra Obi-Wan if we didn't already get one. Maybe some redemptions. You could play the Star Viper in the main deck. But this is a super competitive deck already with very few rares. And it's really winning on the back of Cherot being really great, Steadfast Battalion with like giving it ambush is really, really great, and just good all around. That, again, that Rebel package is like Fleet Lieutenant is so good at stealing initiative, getting aggro, and leaving behind a 3/3 body. Okay, yellow. You can play yellow. Yellow is good. There's one thing that's holding you back if you're going to play a yellow deck, and that's the Millennium Falcon is one of, if not the best, yellow aggro card. It's a 3-drop ship that comes into play ready. It lets you attack for 3 the turn it comes into play, and at the end of the game, you can even just play a bunch of them. It's the 6 resource turn. You have one Millennium Falcon in play. You attack. You play another one. Attack. Play a third one. Attack. Yes, that's happened to me. It doesn't feel fun. Some great rares to add to your yellow aggro deck that's cheap. Spark of Rebellion, just a couple dollars. This isn't in a lot of decks. Look at opponent's hand and discard a card from it for 2. That's really great. They have something that's going to completely take over the game. You play this at the start of the turn. You make sure all your guys attack. Strafing Gunship, another $2 rare. This thing can attack in space. It can attack in the ground. It can, like, obviously we're trying to go aggro and face, but like this thing is just a great control card. It's a good catch-all to help us wherever we want to be. Some above stack guys. We've got Swoop Racer, a 4/3, one of the only 4/3 3-drops. Syndicate Lackeys is a 5/4 with ambush that then kills Sabine right out the gate. Chewbacca, he's sneaky aggro because you play him, and if they attack, he readies. They hit the base. If they've got only small stuff, or maybe you're playing Chewbacca with Jeddah City, so you can. I guess they wouldn't attack if they had zero attack. But maybe you pump them down to 1 and they still want to trigger your Chewbacca. Probably not. But my point is that he readies and helps you get aggro. Lothal Insurgent, sneaky good. Discarding a card from their hand. Greedo, always good. 1 cost, 3 attack. This Leia Greedo start you can play on turn 1 is really great. And Surprise Strike, 2 cost plus 3 damage. It's really great. We're at the end. We're at the villain deck. If you haven't checked out TowerNumberNine's videos, TowerNumberNine has been pushing this deck for a while. This is essentially a budget deck. He's got no legendaries in here in the main deck. He's got 2 in the sideboard, which like you don't have to play. You could be fine just keeping it like this. Palpatine comes in the starter deck. Dooku, probably like a $5 or $6 rare. Regional Governor, just a couple bucks. Gideon Hask, maybe a few dollars, but like you don't have to play Gideon. You could make this a lot more blue and play like Lieutenant Chilston and still get your 5/5 off. Again, this isn't the reason why I wanted to make a video about all these Rebel decks is because that package with the red heroic stuff is really, really cheap. If you're going to go outside of that, you're not going to be able to stay as cheap as those decks. So taking a look at this deck, it probably in its full form costs like $80. If you cut the Avengers, it's probably closer to $60. But that's still pretty affordable for a card game. And if you haven't bought a box yet, being able to like just go on TCG Player and order this for about $60, $65 is probably fine. If you opened a few boxes, you might already have an Iden or a Tarkentown. And because people really only need 1 leader and 1 base, I don't expect these things to stay at $5. And a lot of people in your community will likely just swap with you. So this is actually went a lot quicker than I thought it was going to go. So we're only at 12 minutes, but I think that's a good thing. If you have a budget deck that you think could be on this video, let me know. Because I plan on doing more of these as more cards and sets come out or decks get discovered. I'll have deck links for all of the budget decks that I made in the video description. Please smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the comments and on the tables.